Here's the deal, fellas. First dates can feel like a minefield. One wrong move, and suddenly, what could have been a great connection turns into a dead end. In this talk, we're breaking down the biggest mistakes guys make on first dates, the body language that silently kills attraction, the psychology behind why women pick up on certain signals. In games, you make one mistake and boom, big red letters, game over. First dates work the exact same way. Do the wrong thing, even just once, and your chances for a second date are gone. It's game over. Now here's the thing. First dates are basically conversations. Forget the fancy drinks, the cool restaurant, the playlist in the background. It all comes down to the talk. And here's the kicker. On a first date, how you talk is usually more important than what you say. Most guys don't realize this. They think as long as they have good stories or a list of fun topics, they're set. But the truth? The way you handle the flow of the conversation, when you speak, when you listen, how much you share, the vibe you give off, can make or break whether she wants to see you again. Let's break down the 3 biggest traps men fall into: talking too much, oversharing, and negativity. Trap number 1, talking too much. Look, I get it. You're nervous. You meet her at the cafe, the waiter takes your order, and then silence. And silence on a first date feels 10 times louder than silence anywhere else. So what do? You start talking and talking and talking. At first, it feels safe. You're filling the gaps. You're keeping things moving. But suddenly, you've been going on about your college years for 7 straight minutes, and she hasn't said more than, or, oh, wow. You think you're connecting, but to her, it doesn't feel like a date. It feels like she's in the audience at your one-man show. Here's what happens next. She starts zoning out. Her eyes glaze a little. Maybe she leans back in her chair. You pick up on that energy, but instead of stopping, you panic. You think, crap, I'm losing her. Let me try harder. So you push more words out, faster and louder. Now it's a full spiral. The more she pulls back, the more you talk, and the less she feels heard. By the end of the night, she walks away thinking, nice guy, but kind of self-absorbed. And the painful part is, you weren't trying to be selfish. You were just nervous. The fix? Balance. Think of conversation like tennis. You hit the ball, she hits it back. That's the rhythm you want. One of the best rules I ever learned is the 30 to 60 second rule. Share your point in half a minute to a minute, then pass the ball back. Ask her a follow-up question. Let her expand. It's not about holding back your stories. It's about giving her space to want to know more. Trap number 2, oversharing. Now here's another big one, and it's sneakier. Oversharing. A lot of guys mistake being vulnerable with dumping their entire life story in the first 30 minutes. So you get dudes who say stuff like, yeah, my last girlfriend cheated on me, and honestly, I've got trust issues now. Or, I had a rough childhood, my parents divorced, it still messes me up sometimes. Or, I'm in a ton of debt, but I'm working on it. Now listen, I'm not saying these things aren't real. They're human, and eventually, in a real relationship, they'll need to come out, but not on date 1. Why? Because oversharing too soon flips the vibe. Instead of a fun, light first meeting, suddenly she feels like she's sitting across from a therapy session. And guess what? She didn't sign up for that. Here's the psychology behind it. When you unload heavy stuff early, your intention is, I trust you, I'm letting you in. But what she hears is, I'm unstable, and if you date me, you're going to inherit all this baggage. It's unfair, but that's how the human brain works. Evolution wired us to scan for risk in new partners, and too much baggage, too soon, looks like risk. The fix is, keep vulnerability on a dimmer switch. On a first date, share stories that are light but still personal. Funny family moments, embarrassing but harmless mistakes, quirky hobbies. Give her a glimpse of the real you without turning it into an emotional dump. Save the deeper stuff for when you've built real trust. Trap number 3 is negativity. Now this one's deadly. Negativity kills attraction faster than almost anything else. Think about it. She's meeting you for the first time. Her brain is asking, do I feel good around this guy? That's it. That's the filter.
If you bring negativity, complaining about your boss, trashing your ex, whining about traffic, you're answering that question with a big fat no. Here's what happens when you bash your ex. She thinks, if we ever break up, that's how he'll talk about me. When you trash your job, this guy's bitter. Life beats him down. Negativity sticks. You could spend 90% of the date being funny and charming, but that 10% rant about your ex, that's what she'll remember. The fix is cut the complaints. Seriously, even if your boss is a nightmare, even if your ex was a disaster, leave it at home. On a first date, she's not evaluating your job, your ex, or your past. She's evaluating how she feels sitting across from you. So keep the vibe positive. Talk about things you like, not things you hate. Talk about goals, hobbies, places you want to go. Optimism is magnetic. It shows you can handle life's ups and downs without getting stuck in bitterness. Why these traps matter? Let me be real with you. None of these traps, talking too much, oversharing, being negative, sound like deal breakers in the moment. You might even walk away thinking, that went fine. But from her perspective, these little things stack up. They form a picture in her head. Talking too much? Now self-absorbed. Oversharing? Now emotionally unstable. Negativity? Now bitter, low energy. And remember, first dates are auditions for second dates. If she doesn't feel excited about seeing you again, you're gone. The sad part is, most guys aren't bad dudes. They just let nerves take the wheel and end up sending the wrong signals. If you take nothing else from this section, remember this. First dates aren't about proving yourself. They're about connection. Connection doesn't happen when you dominate the conversation. It doesn't happen when you dump your trauma. It doesn't happen when you complain about life. Connection happens when you share enough to be real, listen enough to make her feel seen, and keep the energy positive enough that she leaves thinking, I want more of that. That's the goal. Not impressing her with your resume, not unloading your problems, just creating a conversation that feels balanced, light, and fun, so she walks away wanting to do it again. Here's something most guys forget. Your body talks louder than your words. On a first date, you can say all the right things, tell funny stories, ask good questions, but if your body language is off, none of that matters. Because she's not just listening to your words, she's reading your signals. And trust me, she's reading fast. There's this concept in psychology called thin slicing. Basically, our brains are wired to make snap judgments in seconds. She doesn't need an hour to decide how she feels about you. A few glances, a posture, a gesture, that's all it takes. And if you're sending the wrong signals, the date's over before the appetizer shows up.
Trap number 1, the triple threat. There are 3 silent killers on a first date. I call them the triple threat. 1, checking your phone. 2, avoiding eye contact. And 3, hiding your hands. Let's start with the phone. You might think pulling out your phone for a second is harmless, just checking the time, maybe a quick text. But to her, it screams, you're not important enough to have my full attention. Nothing kills attraction faster than making someone feel like they're competing with a screen. Next, eye contact. I get it, staring someone in the eyes can feel intense. But avoiding eye contact altogether, that's even worse. It makes you look nervous, dishonest, or just plain uninterested. If you can't hold her gaze for a few seconds, she'll assume you're hiding something or that you're simply not confident. And then there's the hands. Sounds weird, right? But it's real. Keeping your hands stuffed in your pockets, under the table, or constantly fidgeting makes people uneasy. Why? Because subconsciously, hidden hands equals threat. Back in our caveman days, if someone hid their hands, it meant they might be holding a weapon. Today, our brains still read it as untrustworthy. So what's the fix? Easy. Put the phone away. Seriously, turn it face down and out of sight. Hold eye contact about 50 to 70% of the time. Enough to show confidence, not so much it feels like a stare down. And keep your hands visible. Rest them on the table. Gesture naturally when you talk. It signals openness and honesty. Trap number 2, closed posture. Another big one is posture. A lot of guys sit like they're in a job interview, rigid, arms crossed, shoulders tight. Or worse, they lean back the whole time, arms folded, looking half bored. Here's what that says to her. I'm closed off. I don't really want to be here. Remember, your body mirrors your emotions. If you're nervous, you tense up. If you're unsure, you pull back. The problem is, she doesn't interpret that as nerves. She just sees distance. Closed posture creates a feedback loop. You cross your arms, she senses you're not engaged, so she pulls back too. Now both of you are sitting there with invisible walls up. The conversation feels flat, the vibe dies, and the date never recovers. The fix? Open up, literally. Keep your chest facing her, not turned away. Relax your shoulders. Lean in slightly when she's talking. It shows you're engaged, you're interested. Uncross your arms. Show you're comfortable letting her in. It sounds small, but it's massive. An open posture says, I'm confident, I'm here, I'm present. Trap number 3, fidgeting and nervous energy. We've all done it. Tapping your foot, bouncing your leg, spinning your glass, picking at the label on your beer bottle. You think it's harmless, but all it does is scream, I'm uncomfortable. And here's the thing, emotions are contagious. If you look anxious, she'll start feeling anxious. If you look relaxed, she'll relax. Fidgeting is basically your body's way of leaking nervous energy. But on a first date, it makes her think you're not confident, or worse, that you don't want to be there. The fix? Ground yourself. Before the date, take a few deep breaths. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. When you notice yourself fidgeting, pause. Pick up your drink, take a sip, then place it back down calmly. Replace nervous habits with slow, controlled actions. It'll change the whole vibe. Trap number 4, overdoing it. Now, here's the flip side. Some guys, after hearing all this advice, swing too far the other way. They try to sit like statues, make unblinking eye contact, and lean in so much they're practically across the table. That's not confidence, that's creepy. Body language isn't about putting on an act. It's about being natural, but aware. Confidence is relaxed, not forced. If you're trying too hard to look alpha, she'll pick up on it instantly. The best posture is casual but open. The best eye contact is steady but soft. The best smile is real, not rehearsed.
Why it matters. So, why does all this matter so much? Because your body language is telling her things your words can't. When you keep your posture open, when you hold her gaze, when you look comfortable in your own skin, the message is clear. I'm confident. I'm safe. I'm worth getting to know. But when you hunch over your phone, avoid her eyes, cross your arms, and fidget nonstop, the message flips to, I'm insecure. I'm not present. I don't have it together. And remember, on a first date, she's not consciously analyzing every move you make. Her brain is just feeling the vibe. And once she feels that you're nervous, disengaged, or disrespectful, it's hard to come back from. First dates are about creating connection. And connection isn't just words, it's energy. Your body language is broadcasting who you are before you even open your mouth. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be aware. Open posture, good eye contact, visible hands, calm presence. That's it. Do those things, and even if your jokes aren't the best or you stumble over a story, she'll still walk away thinking, he felt good to be around. And that's what gets you the second date. So next time, don't just think about what you'll say. Think about what you're silently telling her with every move. Because in dating, your silent language is louder than your words. Here's the truth, man. Most of the mistakes we make on a first date aren't about what we say or even what we do. They're about what those little things signal. And those signals, they go straight into her subconscious. See, dating isn't just two people chatting over coffee. Underneath the surface, your brain and her brain are running ancient programs. They're scanning for value, for safety, for red flags, for green flags. We're talking evolutionary psychology here. And when you understand that, you'll see why certain behaviors completely kill attraction, even if you didn't mean them to. Let's start with the big one. Desperation. You might think you're hiding it. You might not say, please like me, I have no options, but trust me, she can feel it. Desperation leaks out in your behavior. Overspending on the date, over-complimenting, agreeing with everything she says, rushing into deep talks about marriage and kids. Your intention is innocent. You want to show you're serious, that you're a good guy, that you're all in. But her subconscious reads it differently. To her, it says, this guy doesn't have options. If he's this eager with me, he must not be high value. That's harsh, but it's real. Because here's how human brains work. We're wired to value what's scarce. If you act like your time, money, and attention are unlimited, it doesn't make you look generous. It makes you look desperate. Think about it. You drop $200 on a first dinner with a stranger. What's the message? You want to impress. But the signal she gets is, he's trying way too hard. He must not get dates often. Or when you say you're beautiful 5 times in 1 hour, you mean it as genuine praise. She hears he's putting me on a pedestal and he doesn't even know me yet. The worst part, desperation doesn't just kill attraction, it flips it. Instead of her chasing you, you're chasing her. And once that dynamic shifts like that, it's almost impossible to recover. Here's another trap. Sending mixed signals with your actions. A lot of guys want something long-term, a real girlfriend, maybe even a wife. But on the first date, they act like they're chasing something short-term. They push physical intimacy too fast, they bring expensive gifts, they start future talking before she's even finished her latte. The problem is her brain doesn't hear your words, it reads your actions. And actions that scream short-term strategy clash with your words about serious intentions. That mismatch is confusing, and confusion usually ends the date right there. Here's the kicker. Human brains are still Stone Age brains. Back then, men had 2 main strategies: short-term, quick mating, and long-term, stable family. Women evolved to detect which strategy a guy was using because it literally affected survival. That wiring is still active today. So if you talk about wanting commitment but act like you're rushing, her brain goes, something doesn't add up. This guy might not be safe to invest in, and boom, the second date disappears. Another mistake is trying to qualify her too soon, asking about kids, marriage, religion, future plans, all on the first date. Look, it's not wrong to want those things, but the timing matters. When you push those questions too early, it doesn't signal maturity, it signals scarcity. It tells her you're desperate to lock someone in, anyone, instead of taking your time to choose the right person. Her subconscious hears, he's already imagining me as his wife, and we just met. He must be clinging to the first option he gets. Again, your intention is good, you're trying to be upfront, but in her head, it feels like pressure, and pressure is the opposite of attraction. Let's circle back to negativity for a second, because psychology explains this too. The human brain has what's called a negativity bias. We remember bad stuff more strongly than good stuff. It's survival wiring. Back in the day, if you ignored danger signs, you didn't survive. So now, even in modern dating, if you rant about your ex for 5 minutes, that sticks way harder than the 55 minutes you spent being funny and charming. That's why complaining is so deadly. It plants a little seed of doubt in her brain. Is this how life will feel with him? Heavy, negative, bitter? And once that seed's planted, attraction starts dying. Here's the crazy part. Sometimes women fall for guys with toxic traits, what scientists call the dark triad: narcissism, manipulation, and even psychopathy. Why? Because on the surface, those traits can look like confidence. A guy who's controlling might seem like a leader. A guy who's arrogant might seem self-assured for a night. It's an illusion, and it fades fast, but it shows you something important. Attraction is less about what's objectively good and more about what her brain perceives in the moment. That's why subtle signals matter so much. They shape perception instantly. So what do? You don't need to study psychology textbooks, but you do need to understand this. Her brain is wired to scan you fast. It's looking for confidence, stability, and alignment between your words and actions. That means don't overspend or overcompliment. Show value by being calm and selective, not by showering her. Don't rush physical or emotional intimacy. Let things unfold naturally. Don't press heavy future questions. Save them for when there's actual connection, and definitely don't go negative. Keep the vibe positive, light, and curious. Because at the end of the day, attraction isn't logical. It's emotional. She doesn't leave thinking, he said 3 right things and only 1 wrong thing, so I'll give him another chance. She leaves thinking, how did I feel around him? And psychology, evolution, all that science just proves what we already know. The little things you do create the big feeling she remembers.
First dates are pressure cookers. 2 strangers, 2 brains wired for survival, both scanning each other for signs of value or risk. You can't control every detail, but you can control the signals you send. Confidence isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. When your words, your actions, and your vibe all line up, her brain gets the message, this guy's safe, this guy's attracted, this guy's worth seeing again. So next time you catch yourself overdoing it, spending too much, complimenting too much, fast-forwarding the relationship, pause. Remember, you're not there to prove you're worthy, you're there to see if you click. That shift in mindset changes everything, from desperation to confidence, from mixed signals to clarity, from first date failure to second date success. All right, so we've covered the traps, we've talked about the silent signals that sabotage you, and we've broken down the psychology behind them. But now let's flip the script. Let's talk solutions, because knowing what not to do is only half the battle. What you really need is a playbook for what to do instead. And here's the good news. You don't need to be smooth like a Hollywood actor or have lines like a comedian. You just need to be intentional. Small, consistent actions can turn a first date from forgettable into I want to see him again. Step 1. Reset your mindset. The first fix starts before you even leave the house. Too many guys walk into a date with this needy mindset. I hope she likes me. I need to impress her. That energy bleeds through everything you say and do. Here's the reframe. You're not auditioning for her approval. You're 2 people meeting to see if there's a connection. That's it. When you shift from I need to win her over to let's see if we click, you relax. You stop over-explaining, overspending, overcompensating. You come across as calm and confident because you're not chasing. You're evaluating too. That mindset alone kills half the desperation signals we talked about earlier. Step 2. Master the basics. Before you worry about clever lines or advanced techniques, nail the fundamentals. Be on time. Sounds obvious, but being late screams disorganized and disrespectful. Dress sharp, not flashy. Clean clothes that fit well, grooming on point. You don't need designer labels, just show you respect yourself and the occasion. Smell good. 1 spray of cologne, not half the bottle. Hygiene is non-negotiable. Phone away. Nothing tanks a date faster than a guy glued to a screen. These aren't tricks, they're signals. They tell her, I've got my life together, I respect your time, I made an effort. Step 3, keep the conversation balanced. We already talked about the danger of over-talking, oversharing, and negativity. So what's the alternative? Think of conversation like a seesaw. Too much on your side and it tips awkwardly. Too much on hers and you look disengaged. The sweet spot is balance. Here's how you do it. 30 to 60 second rule. Share a story, then toss it back. Example, yeah, I used to travel a lot for work. Honestly, the craziest trip was when my luggage got lost in Italy. Anyway, what's your favorite trip you've ever taken? Ask open-ended questions, not yes, no stuff like, do you like movies? But deeper ones like, what kind of movies do you usually go for? Listen actively. Nod, smile, make eye contact. When she shares something, follow up. That's cool. How did you get into that? The point isn't to impress her with your stories, it's to make her feel heard and seen. And when she feels that, connection builds. Step 4, control the energy. Dates run on vibe. If you're nervous, stiff, or negative, she'll feel it. If you're relaxed, curious, and positive, she'll feel that too. So here's how to control the energy. Keep topics light. Travel, food, hobbies, childhood memories, funny stories. First dates are about fun, not trauma dumps. Find common ground. If she mentions she loves hiking, talk about your best trail story. If she's into cooking, share your disaster recipe moment. And sprinkle humor. You don't need to be a stand-up comedian, just playful teasing, a self-deprecating story, or an observation about the cafe vibe. And most importantly, stay positive. Even if your boss is the worst, don't rant. Even if traffic sucked, don't open with complaints. Positivity is magnetic. Step 6, body language awareness. We covered the silent language in detail, but let's put it into practice. Sit open, not closed. Uncrossed arms, shoulders relaxed. Lean in slightly when she talks. It shows engagement. Eye contact 50 to 70% of the time, enough to show confidence, not so much that it's creepy. Hands visible, natural gestures. No hiding, no constant fidgeting. Smile, not plastered on your face, but genuine when something's funny or when she's sharing. Your body should say, I'm present, I'm confident, I'm at ease. Step 7, add a memorable moment. Most first dates blur together. Coffee, small talk, goodbye. If you want a second date, give her a reason to remember you. That doesn't mean grand gestures. It can be small. After coffee, suggest a short walk. Share a fun little challenge, like pick a random dessert and we'll both try it. Point out something funny happening around you and laugh together. That shared experience becomes a little story she'll replay later. And that memory keeps you top of mind. Step 8, exit with grace. How you end the date matters almost as much as how you start. Don't overdo it, no dramatic speeches, no begging for another meetup. Just keep it simple and respectful. At the end, if you enjoyed yourself, say it. Hey, I had a great time tonight. Let's do this again. Smile, hug if it feels natural, then leave. Later that evening or the next morning, send a short follow-up. Had fun last night. Next time, I'm letting you pick the spot. That's enough. It shows interest without looking desperate.
Step 8, focus on growth, not perfection. Look, you're not going to nail every date. Sometimes you'll still talk too much. Sometimes the vibe won't click. That's normal. The key is to treat each date as practice. Notice your habits. Did you fidget too much? Did you interrupt? Did you spend 10 minutes ranting about your commute? Cool. Learn from it. Adjust for next time. Dating isn't about being flawless. It's about being self-aware and improving over time. And that growth, women notice it. The fix isn't complicated. It's not about lines, tricks, or hacks. It's about being present, respectful, confident, and fun. Reset your mindset. Nail the basics. Balance the conversation. Control the vibe. Mind your body language. Create a memorable moment. Exit with grace. Learn and improve. That's it. Do these things and you don't need to worry about being perfect. She'll leave the date thinking, he's different. He's easy to be around. I want to see him again. Because in the end, that's what a first date is about. Not proving yourself, not performing, just creating a connection that makes her want a second one. So, here we are, the end of the series. We've talked about the traps, the body language, the psychology, and the fixes. But let me wrap this up by pulling it all together. Because at the end of the day, dating, especially first dates, isn't about tricks or strategies. It's about connection. And connection doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence. What first dates are really about. A lot of guys overthink first dates. They treat them like job interviews or, worse, auditions. They're trying to prove they're worthy, the best stories, the funniest jokes, the perfect outfit, the right restaurant. But here's the truth. She's not grading you like a teacher with a red pen. She's not keeping a scorecard of pros and cons. She's asking one question. How do I feel when I'm with him? That's it. That's the test.
And everything we've covered in this series, all the traps, the psychology, the fixes, it all boils down to making her feel good in your presence. The small stuff matters. Remember how we said first dates are mostly conversations? That's true. But it's not just the words, it's the way you carry yourself, the vibe you give off, and the little details that signal who you are. Talking too much makes her feel invisible. Oversharing makes her feel pressured. Negativity makes her feel heavy. Desperation makes her feel like she's your only option. Mixed signals make her feel unsafe. But when you flip those around, balanced conversation makes her feel heard. Light vulnerability makes her feel connected. Positivity makes her feel energized. Confidence makes her feel drawn in. Consistency makes her feel safe. See the pattern? It's not about being perfect, it's about how you make her feel. The role of confidence. Confidence is a big word in dating. Everybody throws it around, but what does it actually mean? Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not bragging. It's not acting like you don't care. Real confidence is quiet. It's calm. It's knowing that whether she likes you or not, you'll be fine. Because your life is full, your standards are high, and you respect yourself. That kind of confidence comes out in subtle ways. You listen without needing to dominate. You share without oversharing. You smile because you're genuinely enjoying the moment. You don't rush. You don't force. You just let things unfold. That energy, it's rare. And because it's rare, it's magnetic. First dates as filters. Here's another way to think about it. First dates aren't just about impressing her. They're also about filtering for yourself. Too many guys go into dates like, please pick me, but flip it. You're there to decide if she wants her in your life. Does she bring good energy? Is she kind? Is she interesting? Does she make you feel good? When you start viewing first dates as two-way streets, everything changes. You're not chasing, you're choosing. And women feel that difference instantly. Growth over perfection. Let me tell you something real. You will mess up. You'll ramble, you'll interrupt, you'll pick the wrong spot, you'll laugh at the wrong moment. It happens. We're human. But here's the thing. Growth beats perfection. Every date is feedback. Every mistake is a lesson. If you pay attention, you'll get better. Your awareness will sharpen, your energy will settle, and one day you'll realize the nerves are gone, the desperation is gone, and you're just present. That's when dating stops feeling like work and starts feeling fun. Why this matters beyond dating. And let me zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about first dates. The skills you build here, listening, confidence, body language, mindset, they spill into every part of your life. You'll communicate better at work. You'll hold yourself better in social settings. You'll carry more presence with your friends and family. Dating is the arena, but the benefits go way beyond it. The final takeaway. So, let's bring it home. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with, it's this. First dates are about creating a moment that makes her want a second one. Not impressing her with your resume, not oversharing your trauma, not rushing into the future. Just balanced conversation, positive energy, open body language, quiet confidence. Do that, and even if you stumble here and there, she'll leave thinking, that was different. That felt good. I want more of that. And that's the win. That's what gets you from endless first dates that go nowhere to building something real. The bottom line. Dating can feel brutal. Ghosting happens, misreads happen. You'll have nights where you walk out of a cafe scratching your head wondering what went wrong. But if you keep showing up with presence, positivity, and confidence, you'll stand out. Because most guys don't. Most guys fall into the traps. Most guys let nerves drive. You won't. Not anymore. So next time you walk into that first date, remember this series. Remember the traps. Remember the fixes. Remember that it's not about perfection, it's about connection. And if you focus on that, I promise your odds of a second date just skyrocketed. But I'm curious, what about you? What's the #1 mistake that makes you say never again after a first date? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. And hey, if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe because in the next video, we're breaking down the subtle signs that she actually wants to see you again. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.